Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend. Some are just better at hiding the knife. Some people won't hurt you with anger. They'll hurt you with kindness. That's the danger, my friends. We grow up thinking if someone is nice, they must be good. But niceness can be a strategy, a mask, a trap. And behind that smile, there could be someone draining your energy, stealing your time, and feeding off your kindness like a parasite in disguise. You think you're being generous, but you're being used. Before we go deeper, hit that like button and press subscribe, because what we're unpacking today might just save your peace. Don't miss a second of this. Hey folks, imagine you're a golden tree, roots deep, branches wide, fruit ripening with every season. And then along comes someone who doesn't plant, doesn't water, doesn't protect, just picks, takes, smiles while they do it, says, "Wow, you're amazing," but never asks how you're doing, never gives back. That right there is how many nice people operate. They don't show up with knives. They show up with compliments, favors, and sweet words, but they're only around when it benefits them. Seneca warned us, "A friend to all is a friend to none." You are not a tool. You are not a stop on someone else's journey. You are the destination. Write this in the comments, clarity over comfort. Let them see you. Let them know you see them. Press like, hit subscribe, and stay with me, because today we expose the truth. Number 1. The compliment fisher. Flattery is the food of fools and the weapon of users. There's a certain kind of person that doesn't come asking for much, but always leaves with something. They don't demand your time, they don't argue, they don't confront, they just compliment again and again. At first, it feels good. Who doesn't like to be praised? You feel seen, validated, even admired. But my friends, there's a dark game being played here, because some people don't compliment you to lift you up. They do it to hook you in. Imagine someone casting a shiny fishing lure into a quiet lake. It glitters, it dances, it looks like something valuable. And you, the fish, see it and swim closer. You bite, and suddenly, you're not free anymore. That's what these people do. They cast charm, praise, admiration, but not because they mean it. Because they want a reaction. They want control. They want access. And the moment you stop performing for them, the compliments dry up. Why? Because it was never about you. It was about what they could get from you. You'll start to notice a pattern. Their praise is always followed by a favor, a request, a subtle shift in tone if you don't give them what they want. And when you pause to ask yourself, do they really care about me? You'll feel guilty for even questioning it, because society taught you that doubting nice people makes you the problem. But here's the truth. Authentic love does not require constant praise. Real connection doesn't come wrapped in sugar. Stoic philosophy reminds us to be wary of excess flattery. As Epictetus said, "It is better to be rebuked by the wise than praised by the foolish." And oh, how many fools come disguised in applause. The compliment fisher isn't dangerous because they're loud. They're dangerous because they're sweet. Because they know how to mirror your insecurities. They see the cracks in your confidence and they pour syrup into the wounds. You think they admire your work ethic? No, they just admire how easy you are to manipulate when you're craving recognition. You think they support your goals? No, they support the version of you that keeps them relevant. And if you grow beyond them, if you stop needing their praise to feel powerful, suddenly they go quiet, or worse, they flip. And yet, many of us keep these people close. Why? Because we fear being alone, because their compliments feel better than silence, because deep down, we want to be seen. And here's where it hurts. We confuse praise with presence. We think they say such nice things, maybe they care. But my friends, words are cheap. Watch their patterns. If someone's support disappears when you set boundaries, it was never support. You'll begin to feel it in your gut, the way they always find the perfect thing to say, but never show up when you need depth. They hype you up when it serves them, but they're ghosts when you're low. It's not real, it's performance. And the moment you stop clapping for them, they stop clapping for you. So what do you do when you realize someone is fishing for your loyalty with sweet words? You stop biting, you start observing. You remind yourself that your worth is not measured by how many compliments you collect, but by how solid you are when no one's cheering. You stop performing. You stop seeking validation. You become your own applause, because real strength doesn't rise from praise. It rises from self-respect. And once you learn that, the fisherman can't touch you anymore. Write this in the comments. I see through praise. Let them know. Let the world know. You're not a puppet for someone else's approval. You are clarity. You are grounded. You are not here to perform for users. And stay with me, because next we'll meet the person who drains you emotionally and calls it connection. The emotional leech is up next. And trust me, they don't just borrow your energy, they build their identity on it. Number 2, the emotional leech. Some people don't want help. They want a host. There's a kind of person who doesn't need to steal your money, your time, or your ideas. No, they take something far more valuable, your emotional energy, and they do it while calling you their best friend, their rock, their safe place. My friends, this is the emotional leech. They don't scream. They don't push. They drain you, slowly, quietly, always needing, never giving. Imagine a bucket with a tiny hole at the bottom. At first, you don't notice it. You keep pouring in water, thinking it's making a difference. But the more you give, the more that bucket demands, until one day you're empty and they still expect more. That's what it feels like dealing with an emotional leech. They come to you with every problem, every crisis, every breakdown, and at first you feel useful, needed, important. But over time it's no longer mutual. You're the therapist, the motivator, the emotional punching bag. And when it's your turn to speak, silence. They call it connection. They call it closeness. But what they really want is constant comfort without effort. They want to vent, not grow. They want to collapse into your space, and they expect you to hold them up no matter the cost. And when you finally set a boundary, they call you cold, selfish, distant. Folks, they don't love you, they rely on you. And there's a big difference. The Stoics taught us to support others, yes, but not to become martyrs for people who refuse to rise. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But the emotional leech never wants that power. They want you to carry their weight while they sit still. And the truth is, it's hard to let go, especially when you've grown used to being needed, especially when their pain feels real, because sometimes it is. But pain doesn't justify parasitism. You can feel compassion without becoming their emotional crutch. You can love someone and still walk away when it starts costing you your peace. Ask yourself, do they ever ask how you're doing? Do they ever show up when you're the one falling apart? Or is it always about them, their drama, their pain, their chaos? And if the answer stings, it's probably true. So what do? You stop being the bucket. You become the well, grounded, guarded, deep. You give when it's healthy. You step back when it's draining. And you remember, you are not the solution to someone else's refusal to grow. Write this in the comments. I protect my energy. Say it. Mean it. Let them see you standing up for your peace. And stay with me, my friends, because next up, We're talking about the one who praises you in public but competes with you in private. The silent competitor is coming, and they don't want you to lose. They just never want you to win. Number 3, the silent competitor. Not everyone in your circle wants you to win. Some just want front row seats to your fall. There's a kind of person who claps when you succeed, but it's the slow clap, the fake one, the one that hides a storm behind a smile. My friends, let me introduce you to the silent competitor. They're not loud, they're not obvious, they won't challenge you directly. Instead, they stay close, just close enough to watch and compare and resent. You think they're your supporter. They act like a fan, but what they really are is a rival disguised as a friend. They praise your moves in front of others, but inside they're racing you, secretly measuring your steps, silently hoping you trip. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. Every step takes effort. Every victory costs you something. And right behind you is someone who says, "I'm proud of you." But deep down, they're bitter. It wasn't them. They smile when you're ahead, but inside, they're burning. Not because you're doing wrong, but because you're doing better. And here's where it gets twisted. They need to stay close. Why? Because distance would reveal the truth, that they're not your teammate, they're your shadow. They don't want to beat you honestly, they just want to be near enough to study your moves, copy your pace, match your words, but never ever let you outshine them. You'll notice the little things, the backhanded compliments, the subtle digs, the moments where they call your success lucky or just timing. You'll feel it when something amazing happens in your life and they go quiet. No text, no call, no congratulations, just a heavy silence that says more than words ever could. And still, you question yourself. Maybe I'm being dramatic. Maybe they're just busy. But no, my friends, your gut isn't lying. Their energy shifted the moment your light got too bright. That's not support, that's shadow watching. Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And part of learning how to live is learning who's really in your corner. Real friends cheer without envy. Real friends don't keep score. So why do we keep silent competitors around? Because we want to believe in the bond. Because history blinds us. Because letting go of a long friendship feels heavier than the weight of the hidden competition. But here's the truth. Proximity does not equal loyalty. And someone who can't celebrate you when you shine has no business standing in your light. What do? You rise anyway. You stop shrinking. You stop explaining your joy. You stop watering down your wins just to protect their insecurity. Let them feel it. Let them sit in the silence they created. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. Write it in the comments. I rise without apology. Say it. Own it. Let them watch, because your growth is not a threat. It's proof that you've outgrown those who only loved you when you were small. And stay with me, because next, we meet the person who acts generous but is quietly keeping score. The favor collector is next, and they never give without expecting something in return. Number 4, the favor collector. Some people don't do good for you, they do good to own you. There's a type of person who doesn't manipulate with insults or threats. They use favors, kind gestures, help you didn't ask for. They bring you coffee, support your project, maybe even defend you in front of others. And at first, it feels good, it feels real. But wait, because underneath that kindness is a trap, one that doesn't ask for repayment right away, but the debt is stacking silently. Welcome to the world of the favor collector. Imagine someone giving you a beautiful gift, but they never stop watching it. Every time you use it, they remind you who gave it. Every smile, every compliment, every helping hand is a receipt. They're not giving freely, they're investing. And when the time comes, they'll cash in. After all I've done for you, they'll say. And suddenly, their kindness becomes currency, a tool of guilt, a leash. These people don't ask you directly, they imply. They lean into manipulation with a soft voice and heavy eyes. I just thought you'd have my back like I had yours. Or, I guess I expected more from you. And now you're trapped, not by obligation, but by the pressure they've built around it. And you'll start to feel it, the invisible weight, the sense that you're always behind on something, that you owe them, even when you never agreed to anything. That's the thing about the favor collector. They don't offer gifts, they offer contracts, unspoken, unwritten, but painfully real. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." But favor collectors aren't interested in being good, they're interested in being owed. Their actions are rehearsed, calculated, wrapped in generosity, delivered with a smile, but poisoned with expectations. And still, we fall for it. Why? Because we've been taught that kindness should always be rewarded, that if someone does something for you, you must repay it, even if it wasn't asked for. But here's the truth. Real kindness doesn't keep score. Real friends give because they care, not because they're building leverage. The reason this one cuts so deep is because you'll find yourself stuck between guilt and truth. You'll ask, am I ungrateful? Am I being selfish? No, my friend, you're being manipulated. And that guilt, it's not yours. It was placed there. So what do? You break the pattern. You stop accepting help with strings. You say thank you, not I owe you. You give back when it's right, not when it's pressured. And most importantly, you recognize that not every favor is a blessing. Some are just quiet traps. Write it in the comments. I owe no one my peace. Say it, claim it. Let them know your value isn't measured by how many favors you return, but by how clearly you walk in your truth. And stay with me, because next, we face someone who's even harder to spot. The person who clings to your wins, but disappears in your losses. The proximity opportunist is next, and they're only loyal when the spotlight's on. Number 5, the proximity opportunist. Some people don't love you, they love your momentum. There's a kind of person who only shows up when your life is shining. When things are going well, they're right there, smiling, tagging you in posts, hyping you up like they've been there since day one. But don't be fooled, my friends. This is not loyalty. This is leverage. This is the proximity opportunist. And they're not beside you because they believe in your vision. They're beside you because they want to benefit from it. Imagine you're a rising balloon, climbing higher with every step of growth, every goal, every breakthrough, and clinging to your string, a person smiling wide, acting like they're helping you float. But in reality, they're just using your rise to lift themselves. They don't push you forward. They don't protect your peace. They just want to be seen next to you when the spotlight hits. At first, you might feel proud. They're finally supporting me, you think. But watch closely. The moment the lights dim, the moment you hit a low point or go silent, they vanish. They ghost. They stop replying. They stop sharing. Because without your momentum, they have nothing to gain. This is what Stoicism warns us about: attachment without substance. Epictetus said, "Only the educated are free." And folks, emotional education means recognizing when someone's love is just a business deal dressed in compliments. The proximity opportunist is a master of showing up when it matters for them. They'll praise you in public, but never walk with you in private. They'll repost your win, but never check in during your losses. And if you ever pull back, if you create space, suddenly they accuse you of changing. You're different now, they'll say. But the truth is, they never knew you to begin with. They only knew what you could do for them. And yet, We often keep these people close. Why? Because we mistake attention for affection. Because we crave support, even if it's fake. Because when you've fought your way up, even hollow praise feels better than silence. But here's what the Stoics would remind you. Reputation built on borrowed energy is not success, it's dependence. And someone who only shows up for the good times was never really on your side. So what do? You check the receipts. You notice who claps when no one's watching. You measure support not by how loud they cheer, but by how long they stay. You stop inviting people to your table just because they show up hungry. You surround yourself with those who bring something to cook. Write it in the comments. I choose real loyalty. Say it. Live it. Let them know you're not a ladder to be climbed. You're a foundation to be honored. And stay with me, because next we're revealing one of the most deceptive types, the person who uses guilt as a leash. The guilt tripper in disguise is coming, and they never ask. You just feel bad saying no. Number 6. The guilt tripper in disguise. Some people don't set boundaries. They set traps disguised as love. There's a certain kind of person who doesn't scream, doesn't beg, doesn't even ask much out loud, but somehow you always end up feeling like you owe them something. You didn't make a mistake, but you still feel wrong. You said no, but now you're questioning if you're selfish. That's the power of the guilt tripper in disguise. My friends, this one's smooth. They don't need force. They've mastered emotional pressure. They act like they care deeply. They say things like, I just miss the old you, or I thought we were closer than this. On the surface, it sounds like affection. But underneath, it's control. It's quiet judgment. It's a leash wrapped in sentiment. Imagine walking through a beautiful garden, feeling at peace, and then someone gently ties a soft thread to your wrist. You don't notice it at first. It's light, harmless, but step too far, and it pulls. Just a little, just enough to make you stop. That's what guilt trippers do. They never yank, they never demand, they just tug, subtly, consistently, until you start second-guessing your own boundaries. And what makes it worse? They know exactly how to play the victim. The moment you assert yourself, they shift. Suddenly, you're the cold one. You're the ungrateful one. After all I've done, they'll whisper, I was only trying to help. And now you're not defending your peace, you're defending your character. That's how they trap you, not with arguments, but with shame. Seneca said, he who is brave is free. But the guilt tripper doesn't want you free, they want you obedient. Their version of love isn't about mutual respect, it's about emotional debt. And every nice thing they do, it's not kindness, it's credit. So why do we stay close to them? Because we don't want to hurt them, because they've wrapped their manipulation in history, in family, in friendship, because we were taught that setting boundaries makes us heartless. But here's the truth, folks. Guilt is not a sign of wrongdoing. It's a sign that someone has trained you to feel bad for protecting yourself. You are not selfish for needing space. You are not wrong for saying no, and you are not heartless for stepping back when someone refuses to respect your peace. What do? You stop dancing around discomfort. You stop giving explanations for every boundary you set. You stop apologizing for being unavailable to people who are only available when they need something. You speak calmly, clearly, and when the guilt starts creeping in, you remind yourself, guilt is their tool, not your truth. Write this in the comments. No is not a crime. Say it with strength. Let it echo. Let them know your self-worth won't be decided by emotional manipulation. And stay with me, because next, we're exposing someone even trickier. The one who smiles, hugs, and invades, then says, "You're being distant." The boundary crosser in disguise is up next, and they don't knock, they just walk in. Number 7. The boundary crosser in disguise. Love without respect isn't love, it's possession. There's a type of person who doesn't yell. They don't force. They simply ignore. Ignore your space, your limits, your need for silence. And they do it with the most dangerous weapon of all, affection. My friends, the boundary crosser in disguise doesn't come barging in. They come with a smile. They call it love. They say, "I just care." But what they really mean is, "I don't care about your no." Imagine your life as a home. You've got walls, doors, locks, not to shut the world out, but to decide who comes in and when. Now picture someone who just walks in, uninvited, every time. They say, "I thought we were close," as they rearrange the furniture, open your fridge, and question why you locked the door. That's how boundary crossers move. They blur the lines, then blame you for drawing them. They'll guilt you for needing space. They'll mock your limits. You're being too distant. You've changed. No, my friend, you've just grown tired of being walked over. And Stoicism teaches us, the more we value ourselves, the less we tolerate disrespect. So what do? You shut the door, not in hate, but in clarity. You teach them that love without respect isn't welcome. You guard your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Write it in the comments. My peace has walls. Let them see the shift. Let them feel your strength. And if this series opened your eyes, don't just watch, act. Press the like button, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. At Stoic Journal, we don't chase approval. We build self-respect. Stay grounded, stay strong, stay wise.